Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to go ahead and analyze the game that I played in the last video. And my last video was me playing a blitz game in Washington, D.C. In the game I was white and my opponent had the black pieces and he's been playing chess for about 2 years. So I had the white pieces and the game started out with pawn to e4. And since this is a blitz game, both of us had 5 minutes on the clock. So we didn't have that much time to think. So pawn to e4, pawn to e5, and again, when you moving the pawn to e4 is very important because it gets a pawn in the center. So that's important, and it also opens up lines for the bishop and the queen. I go knight here to attack the pawn, and then my opponent move knight to f6, and then I take the pawn, and then my opponent moved this knight here. This is called Petrol's defense. It's also the Stafford Gambit. Moving the knight here is good. Another alternative is to move the pawn to d6. If the knight does decide to take the pawn, then this is a mistake because white can go queen here and it's attacking the knight, and then once this knight goes away, then this knight can go here, and then the knight is attacking the queen and the queen is also checking the king, so black is going to lose the queen. So my opponent decided to go knight to c6, play the Stafford Gambit, and then I decided to take, and then he takes it back with the pawn. This is a good move because it opens up lines for this bishop and also this queen. And look at these pawns. The pawns are together. I move pawn to d3, pawn to h5, and then I continue to develop by moving the knight over here. Bishop goes here. Notice that when the bishop goes here, notice that it's attacking the f2 pawn, and that's right next to my king. So I have to be careful. I decided to just continue to develop, and then he decided to get aggressive, and he moved knight to g4. If you notice right now, notice the bishop and the knight are attacking the f2 pawn, and it's only protected by this pawn. So I had to do something about this because this is a threat. Notice that moving the pawn to f3, this is not going to work because the knight can go to f2, attacking the queen and the rook at the same time. So that wouldn't be good. So what I end up doing is I end up taking the knight with the bishop, and then he takes it back with the bishop. Notice right now the bishop, it is attacking the queen. It is not safe for my queen to take the bishop because of this pawn. Of course, I think that if I move the queen to d2, that just seems pretty awkward to me. So I decided to move the pawn up to f3. I do realize that when I move the pawn to f3, I do realize that it opens up the king's diagonal. So the king's diagonal, it is weak. But I noticed that if this queen does go to, ooh, I don't know. Maybe the queen should have gone to h4. I don't know. This can get kind of messy. But if queen goes here, then I think I can move the pawn to g3. But okay. Okay, so he decides to move the queen to f6. Notice that he did not move the bishop back. And in chess, you want to ask, if I move here, where is my opponent going to deal? I ended up moving the queen to e2. So the question is, why didn't I take the bishop with this pawn? The reason why is because this bishop, again, is controlling the f2 square. If I did take the bishop, then this queen can go to f2, and then this would be checkmate. And I obviously saw that, and because of that, that's why I decided to go queen to e2. And the queen's protecting the f2 square, and now I'm threatening to capture the bishop. He decides to move the bishop back. That makes sense. And then I move the bishop to e3. Of course, I gotta get my bishop out. The bishop's attacking this bishop, and then my opponent decided to go back. I have that castle, so I decided to castle queen side, and I have a good position. The computer says that I'm up 1.5 points, so not bad. So let's see what he does. My opponent moved here, and when he moved the queen here, notice that it is attacking the pawn on a2, and it's only protected by the knight, but I wanted to be on the safe side, so that's why I decided to go king to b1. So now I've got two pieces attacking this pawn. He goes pawn to g6. I'm not really too sure why he did this, but I do notice like when he did move the pawn to g3, I notice like this is a nice pawn chain, but I don't know if forming a pawn chain right now, I don't know if that's necessary. I think maybe he could castle, but okay, he did go pawn to g3. And then I go pawn to d4. I wanted to just attack. I've got two pawns in the center. I like my position. And then he moves queen to f6. I'm not too sure why he did that. He is not threatening to take my pawn because my rook and bishop are protecting it. So I'm not too sure about queen to f6, but okay. I decided to just continue to attack. So I go pawn to d5. And then he takes my bishop, no big deal. I just take it back with the queen. And then he castles queenside. And this move is a huge mistake because if you notice right now, my queen, it is attacking the pawn on a7, and it's not protected. So that's why, I mean, it's important to castle in chess, but you always want to ask, if I move here, is it safe? In this position, castling was a big mistake because of course, like I moved my queen and I took the pawn, and now he's not in a good position right now. So what happens now is he decided to move the bishop back, and this makes sense because I am in this position. I am threatening queen to a8, so that's why he moved bishop here. Because if I move the queen to a8, then the king can go to d7. And so that will so moving the bishop back stops the checkmate. Now in this position, moving the queen to a8, that would be a mistake, because I notice that if I go queen to a8, then the king can go d7 and then he can escape. I didn't want him to escape. Notice that my rook is on d1. It's on this file. So instead of checking him, I ended up taking the pawn, and look, now he can't move his king to d7 because of my rook. So he can't escape. I am threatening checkmate again. He decides to go take my pawn, and then I simply just checkmate him by moving the queen here, and this is a checkmate. Because again, the king cannot go here because of my rook. So I hope you enjoyed watching this video. And if you like watching my videos, I invite you to be a channel supporter and just go to the buy me a coffee link. That would be great. And if you like watching my videos, I invite you to subscribe to my channel if you have not done already. And also, yeah, so thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.